911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys tonight? It's good to see you all. Welcome to Behind the Crime Door. I'm Kristen, and it's good to have all of my subscribers and my members, all of the doors, and all of my moderators here. So happy. Hey, Wanda from Missouri. How are you? Hi, John. Hey, Lynn, GMB. How are you? Hey, Pigeon Mac. Always good to have you. Hey, Tech Death. How are you, my dear? Hi, Digital. Hey, Michelle. How are you, my dear? Congratulations on your 7 months of being a member of the Doors. So happy to have you. So happy. Hey, little daisies, how are you? Hey, Sees Through. John, how are you doing this evening? It's good to see you. Hey, Sally Hiller. Hi, Sleuth, how are you? It's good to see you and have you here with me. Hey, Judy. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Sierra. Hey, Purdue RN, how are you doing? Hey, Mrs. Thang and Country Girl. So good to have you guys. Hi, Seebeck. Hey, Paris. How are you doing? Hi, Lady Fierce. It's good to have you guys. Got a lot to talk about tonight. Hey, Melissa. Hi, Salty Beach. Moon Shadow. Teresita Hillis. Hey, Jack Green. So, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to definitely talk about some things for sure with Delphi, obviously. I'm going to give a few case updates in the beginning that we've been following. and that I've been covering. I did do some updating on the community page this week. Hey, Rose Burton. Good to have you here. Hey, Nomad 777. 5 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who is a member of my channel very much. Without you and your support, it would be harder for me to do what I do. Hey, Never Silent. Good to have you here. Hi, Jenamar from Portugal. How cool is that? That is very cool. So let's get right into it, you guys. Again, I'm really happy to have you all here. There's just been a lot going on with the cases this since we all were together on Saturday. So I really kind of want to go over that with you all. Let me get my cases in a row here. I tried to do it in the beginning and it didn't work very well for me. So first of all, if you guys remember last week, I talked to you about Trinity Backus out of Northern California, and that my godson they're real close friends with the family. In fact, his wife's best friend is the aunt to Trinity. And Trinity went missing. She was 16 years old last week. She ran out of her house in the middle of the night with no shoes and a nightgown only on. And later that evening, she was found deceased in a drainage ditch. And the update that I wanted to provide to you guys tonight will shed some light on what happened to Trinity. It is tragic. It is so sad. So the aunt of Trinity spoke out this week, and she said that her niece had been taking drugs and had began acting strangely right before she ran away. And Ashley Bjorklund is the 34-year-old aunt. And in her exclusive interview with the New York Post on Monday, she said she had taken acid with a friend, Hannah, who was staying the night. And she was reported missing on Thursday after she disappeared from the Bjorklund house in Nevada City late Wednesday. She was found dead the next day, just a half a mile north of where she was last seen. She was found in a heavily wooded area. Law enforcement said there were no signs of foul play, and the Nevada County coroner has yet to complete its autopsy. Ashley told the Post that she and her boyfriend, whom she identified only by his first name of Logan, had gone to bed sometime before 9:30 p.m. last Wednesday evening, with Backus and her friends still up and watching television. Maybe around 9:50 or 10 o'clock, Trinity comes to our back door, opens it, and starts yelling, Bjorklund said. She said, "You guys need to get out of the house. It's going to blow." Bjorklund said, "I have an open fireplace." Me and Logan immediately thought the house was on fire. I went out there and I looked, but everything was fine. There was nothing wrong. The fire's fine. The house is fine. And Trinity's yelling, "Everybody needs to get outside." There's radiation. I can see the radiation. Bjorklund said Bacchus was yelling from her back porch. It was a cold night, she said, and she told her boyfriend to go outside and bring Bacchus back in the house. But the teen had already bolted, and Bacchus was wearing only her pajamas and her socks. He came back in the house within, 3 minutes or so, and he said, Ashley, I cannot find her. I'm thinking she's got to be messing with us, Bjorklund said. She said she and Logan searched her fenced-in 2-acre property for 15 minutes before calling Bacchus's mother, who rushed over, and the group soon decided to call police, who questioned Bacchus's friend Hannah. That is when they found out that the girls had done the acid. Hannah told us that they had taken 2 hits of acid each. Bjorklund said she questioned the admission because the pair hadn't seemed inebriated that evening at all. I'm 34 years old, she said. I can tell if somebody's high out of their gourd. She wasn't high out of her gourd. But Bacchus's friend said they'd also decided to smoke from a bong after Bjorklund had gone to bed. That's when it triggered the episode, Bjorklund said. We don't even know if what she actually took was acid. There's so much crap out on the streets these days. I don't know how she died. I don't know if she's died of an overdose. I don't know. She took her clothes off right before she passed away. I don't know if she had hypothermia or what was going on. We were screaming all over this mountain all night long for her. Bjorklund said her niece wasn't someone who regularly would use drugs. Trinity was not a druggie. Trinity was a child who decided to be an idiot and experiment and not freaking talking to us about it first. I just wanted to give that update because it is personal, this case. My godson and his family are hurting because these are friends, very close friends, and I wanted to share it. I knew Trinity's story was all over Twitter last week, so that's one reason why I did share it. I knew all of this last week. I knew it the night basically she went missing, of what was just put out by the New York Post, but I wasn't going to share that until it was told to the family, and the family actually knew what was happening. Her aunt was just beside herself that they couldn't find her. Hold on a second. I got something going on here that shouldn't be happening. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Give me just 1 second. Sorry, guys. I hate the autoplays on some of these websites. It's just, I don't understand. But anyway, I really feel bad for her family. I know there's a lot of judgment out there about young people and teenagers using drugs and smoking marijuana and doing all kinds of stuff. But I'm here to say, I was young once. We all experimented. If we want to be honest with ourselves, whether it be with alcohol or with, marijuana, whatever. Child of the 60s. I mean, come on. In the 70s. But there is so much stuff on the street right now that is laced with really bad stuff. Fentanyl is out there, and from what I understand, they're lacing some of the weed that you can buy off the street with fentanyl in blunts. And if these kids aren't aware and aren't familiar with where they're getting this stuff from, these are the kinds of things that can happen. It sounds to me like she had a really bad trip of some kind and she was hallucinating. She was thinking the house was going to blow up, and she was frightened, and she was trying to get everybody out of the house, and she ran out scared to death and ended up, like I said, she was barely dressed, and then she ended up taking off all of her clothes. And they live in this is up in the mountains in Northern California. And so they'd had snow. It was very cold, and, we'll have to wait and see what happened. But I did want to update you guys on that's what happened to her. And it is very sad. Very, very sad, you guys. So, just keep your children and your nieces and your nephews and your friends and all your kids, close, and please talk to them about the drugs and the stuff out on the street, and to not use stuff they don't know where it's coming from, because it's just too dangerous. Hey, Deb, so good to see you, my dear. Thank you for being here. And it's just really sad. So I wanted to also update you on what's going on up in Idaho with Michael Monkey Vaughn and his case. We have been following him for quite a few months now. And, he went missing, obviously, on July 27th of 2021. But he would be 6 years old now. And as I told you last week, we know that they've been digging in a backyard, in a house very near to where he lived. Well, on Monday, the Idaho police announced a woman's arrest in connection with the 2021 disappearance of Michael. And he is from Fruitland, Idaho, and he vanished weeks after his 5th birthday. Sorry, hold on a second. I need to take a drink. His missing person flyer was posted on this woman's refrigerator in several TikTok videos that she had done. And that kind of struck me and stuck out at me, because it's kind of similar to the whole Richard Allen sitting in front of his wanted poster in a bar, as well as working next to his wanted poster of the suspect in the Delphi murders every day when he was at work. So yeah, really, 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 really crazy. So Sarah Wandra is who they've arrested. And Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff told local reporters that Wandra faces a charge of failure to notify authorities of a death, and court records show, but the probable cause affidavit has been temporarily sealed by the judge to protect additional leads, and police hinted that additional arrests are likely. So here you go. Everybody's been talking about the probable cause affidavit against Richard Allen being unprecedented because it's sealed. And right here we have a case another case where the probable cause affidavit has been temporarily sealed. It is not unprecedented as people would like to make it out to be. I don't know why that's happening. We're going to talk about that when we get into Delphi more, but I just wanted you guys to see that. They're trying to protect any new leads coming in or protect any additional arrests that they may have. And they do not want to put any evidence out there that somebody's going to be able to know about and change their story or fix some kind of an alibi, whatever. They don't want to give a heads up to what they have in the case. And that's what probable cause affidavits do. So Michael Vaughn's is sealed temporarily right now. In multiple TikTok videos, she speaks to her camera while standing in front of his missing person flyer, including one in which she mentions that she spent time in prison. There it goes again. Hold on a second. I'm really getting tired of this particular one because it just keeps playing. Hold on a second, guys. Okay. Those ads make me mad. But anyway, I was watching the video of her arraignment where she was brought into court and told what she was being charged with, and she was acting really bizarre and just really acting strange, and even to the judge's questions. And so he has ordered her to have a psych evaluation before they go any further, which I think is probably a good idea in that case. But she's being charged with a felony for failure to notify authorities of a death, which means that law enforcement is pretty confident that Michael Vaughn is no longer with us. And I think it's absolutely devastating that the family has to find out this way and still not have any real updates as to what happened, who did this, because they haven't charged her with murder. It's just crazy. I don't really know what to think. She acts like a very weird person to me. Someone who may have some sort of underlying mental illness that may or may not be treated. I'm just not sure. But she doesn't act like a normal person to me. Even in her TikTok videos, she seems very, very strange. But she's 35 years old. And she lived on the property where the investigators believe that Michael was buried. And it's just a few minutes walk from his home. Police investigated more than 1,000 tips over the past 16 months before a tipster led them to Wandra's home. And the chief said that they've been searching there the whole week. This last week, they're probably going to be there another week. They have stopped using the heavy construction equipment for their digging, and now they're going to start probably using shovels and picks and things that are more finite in sifting and going through all of the dirt, because they believe that he's definitely there and possibly in more than one place within the yard. On Sunday, hours before the announcement of her arrest, but days into the search of her property, YouTuber Jonathan Lee Ritchie's posted a video showing clips of Wandra speaking in front of the flyer. That's very, very disturbing to see a flyer of a missing person on a possible suspect's refrigerator. The next day, Huff told reporters about the arrest while speaking outside her home. And, you know, the sheriff was You know, he's been as forthright as he can be on what's happening. And he said that the investigation determined that Sarah may have had knowledge of Michael's death and failed to report it. We do not believe she is the only person that has knowledge of this, and we will be seeking out those people who could possibly be connected. Huff did not immediately respond to Fox News Digital. His office said he is expected to release a statement in the near future, but could not provide any specific details. Prosecutors earlier this year dismissed a slew of felony charges against Wandra in connection with an unrelated firearms case that also involved her husband, Stacy Wandra. And they set her bond at $1 million. They felt she was a flight risk and that she was a risk to the public because of the firearm charge that she was on probation for. She's due back in court for a status conference on November 21st, which is next Monday, and a preliminary hearing was scheduled for the next day, again on the 22nd. Police and volunteer canines have searched hundreds of acres in the area without success before they zeroed in on Wandra's home. So that's what's going on with Michael. And it is just heartbreaking. I feel so badly for his parents and that family and what they must be going through. It's just horrific. Hold on a second here. I've got a couple of things here. So I'm sure that many of you have heard about the Idaho University murders. And four friends were killed in an isolated, targeted attack in Moscow, Idaho. And how horribly sad this case is. It's just really bad. But I heard this and I just couldn't believe it. But the 4 University of Idaho students, I wanted to show something. Hang on a second, guys. I'm getting ahead of myself. I forgot to share my screen with you when I was talking about Michael. But there's pictures of Michael. A whole bunch of pictures his family put together as a collage. And that smiling face and those beautiful eyes. I mean, he was just an adorable little boy. And no matter what, he did not deserve what happened to him. And I'm so hoping for justice for him. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you. Okay. So I'm going to play this video now that's been wanting to play for us for however long. It's 4 minutes long, you guys. So it's not too bad. But we're going to watch it. I hope you guys hear it. I have the sound turned up all the way. So let me share my screen again. And we'll get there.
I feel very badly for them. and not just for the victims, but everybody else who's a friend and associate with those people.
This morning, the Moscow community is mourning the loss of 4 University of Idaho students. On Sunday, police found them dead inside of an apartment just steps away from campus. We're expecting to hear an update from police at some point today. The university is planning on hosting a vigil on Wednesday evening at 5 on campus. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on Up with Krim. I'm Channing Curtis.
And I'm Tim Pham. This morning, we are hearing from family and friends of the student victims to provide you more context into the investigation underway. So here's what we know this morning. Just before noon on Sunday, Moscow police received a call about an unconscious person on Kings Road. The apartment is located on the backside of the University of Idaho's Greek Row. There, police found 4 people dead in the home. Yesterday, the University of Idaho canceled classes out of respect for the students who died. Today, classes are resuming this morning.
These are things that affect not just town, but the university, the students, lends everybody to a sense of insecurity about what's going on here and why. And it's a very tragic and sad situation all around.
The cause of these students' death has not been released, but we do know their families have been notified. A memorial also started to form at the home where they were found.
Now, yesterday, the University of Idaho released the identities of these 4 victims. They are 20-year-old Ethan Chapin from Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, 20-year-old Zaina Kernodle from Post Falls, Idaho, and 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves from Rathdrum, Idaho. Now, yesterday, we learned that Ethan is actually from Conway and Skagit County. Chapin is a triplet, and he and his siblings all had recently celebrated their 20th birthdays. They all attended the Conway school before moving on to Mount Vernon High. There, Ethan played on the basketball team. He grew up next to neighbor Dave Hayton and his wife, who treated the kids like grandchildren.
Wish somebody would just tell me this is a bad dream. But unfortunately, it's not a bad dream. It's a reality.
Ethan was a freshman majoring in recreation, sport, and tourism management.
Yesterday, Krem also spoke with Kaylee Goncalves' family. Her mother and sister say Kaylee was a strong and passionate go-getter. She already actually had a job lined up in the tech industry after graduation. Kaylee was one of 5 Goncalves children. She graduated from Lake City High School, the same school as Maddie Mogan, another victim. Kaylee's family says the two were especially close, and Maddie was a part of their family as well. Kaylee's older sister, Olivia, shared a statement on behalf of the Goncalves family. It reads in part, Kaylee was and always will be our defender and protector. She is tough and fair, the ultimate middle child. She did absolutely everything she set her mind to. She didn't hold back on love and fights or life. Kaylee was the ultimate go-getter and constantly wanted an adventure. We still have a lot of questions about what happened. Kaylee's sister asked the public to stop spreading rumors about what happened and wait for the facts from police. Meanwhile, Kaylee and Madison's families have set up a GoFundMe page. You can find that link. Just visit our website, krem.com.
Now, we also reached out to Zaina Kernodle's family. The 20-year-old was from Post Falls. She was a junior at U of I. Her sister shared with us how positive and lighthearted she was, and that she had an ability to lift up a room. Now, she was a marketing major and a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority. Her sister also shared a statement with us. It reads in part, Zaina was one of the best people I have ever known. She was so positive, funny, and was loved by everyone who met her. She made me such a proud big sister. I wish I could have had more time with her, as she had so much life to live. My family and I are at a loss for words, confused, and anxiously awaiting for updates from the investigation. Now, as we mentioned earlier today, we are expected to hear from Moscow police about the investigation into these deaths. If you would like a link to all of our coverage so far, you can text the word Idaho to our number 509-448-2000, and we'll send you a link right to your phone.
So, yeah, just an absolutely horrible, horrible crime. I did hear today that they were stabbed. The 4 University of Idaho students who were found dead at an off-campus home on Sunday were butchered with a knife in what police are now investigating as a targeted murder. As targeted murders. The Moscow Police Department said Tuesday all 4 deaths have been ruled homicides, meaning that detectives believe that none of the victims was responsible for the killings. So they don't believe it was a suicide murder situation. We certainly have a crime here, so we are looking for a suspect, Moscow Police Captain Anthony Dollinger told the Idaho Statesman. In a press release offering an update on the probe, police said that while no weapons have been recovered, based on preliminary information, investigators believe that an edged weapon, such as a knife, was used. Investigators were trying to establish a timeline to recreate the victim's activities Saturday night and early on Sunday morning, following all leads and identifying persons of interest. Police identified the victims as Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Gonsalves. The college kids were found dead at a house off campus just before noon on Sunday. But Moscow Mayor Art Bej says the crime was committed between 3 and 4 a.m. that morning. Yes, Grizz, they were killed. All 4 of them were murdered with a sharp blade, edged blade. Ethan Chapin's mother, Sarah, told the news outlet that a friend discovered their bodies inside the home on King Road and called 911. Lada County Coroner Kathy Mabut said autopsies would be conducted Wednesday, but ruled out that this was a murder-suicide. In an interview with the New York Times, Bettig described the killings as a crime of passion, but he later told the Statesman that it was just one possible scenario and that really police just don't know yet. The mayor also said law enforcement officials have told him that there was no active threat to the community based on the crime scene. Boy, where have we heard that before? You have 4 college students murdered horrifically in their own home, off campus, right behind Greek Row, in the middle of the night. They have no suspects, but yet there's no active threat to the community. What the heck is wrong with people? They don't know what they're dealing with yet. How can they come out and say that? It's exactly what they did in Delphi, you guys. It's exactly what happened in Delphi. They came out and told everybody that there was no reason to be worried. There was no reason to be concerned. I'm just like, I don't understand. I'm so tired of hearing, well, police don't want to make everybody, fearful and crazy. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? You got somebody out there that just committed 4 murders, which puts them in the serial killer status. And I'm like, but it's okay. I'm sorry, you guys. It just, when I read it, I'm just like blown away. So I would say it was just a crime focused on this one location. Okay. The police department's update Tuesday echoed the mayor's words, stating that investigators believe this was an isolated, targeted attack and there is no imminent threat to the community at large. They said the same thing about Abby and Libby, that they felt it was isolated and it was targeted and there was no imminent threat to the community. But yet for 5.5 years, that threat to the community was living among them. And how do you know what else that person has done or not done? I am just like, I don't understand where that mindset comes from. So, according to social media posts, Chapin and Kernodle appeared to be in a relationship. Gonsalves' sister Olivia described her sibling as tough and fair and the ultimate goal-getter who craved adventures. Chapin was a freshman from Mount Vernon, Washington, was a member of Sigma Chi fraternity, majoring in recreation, sport, and tourism management, according to information that was released by the university. Gonsalves and Mogan were both seniors, and they were both from Idaho. Mogan was from Coeur d'Alene and was a senior majoring in marketing. And like Kernodle, she was a member of the same sorority, Phi Beta Phi. Salvis was from Rathdrum, Idaho, and she was majoring in general studies, and she was a member of the Alpha Phi sorority. And Mogan and Gonsalves worked together as servers at Mad Greek, a family-owned restaurant located about a mile from the crime scene. The owner of the eatery wrote on Facebook, "You will be greatly missed," the post read in part, "and thank you for being a part of our family team and for helping me so much over the years." University of Idaho President Scott Green said the students were all killed under extremely tragic circumstances. Words cannot adequately describe the light these students brought to this world or the ease, the depth of suffering that we all feel at their passing under these tragic circumstances. So we're going to keep an eye on that case because I just can't imagine what's going on there. I just know that it's horrifically sad. Hi, Mike. How are you? Thank you so much. I know, Grizz, it's really hard. It is so hard. It is really, really hard. And, you know, there's so many of them out there. There's just so much happening. So, yeah, I wanted to bring you guys those updates. Again, I'm really sorry that it had to be that way, but I felt that their story needed to be covered. Their story needs to be told. Their families are hurting. So I imagine, Wanda from Missouri, we will find that out. So let's talk Delphi, you guys. We all know by now that Richard Matthew Allen, excuse me, was appointed counsel by the court this week. The order was issued yesterday. It was filed today on his case. And the order stated that the court finds the defendant is unable to hire counsel and is entitled to court-appointed counsel. The court appoints attorney Bradley Rozzi and attorney Andrew Baldwin as contract public defenders. Counsel instructed to enter their written appearance and be available for hearing November 22nd, 2022 at 9 a.m., which is next Tuesday. Thank you, Nomad777. Thank you so much for that. So he now has representation. Attorney Bradley Rozzi is going to be the lead counsel, and attorney Andrew Baldwin is going to be co-counsel. And one of the things that I wanted to mention about that I had a lot of people on Twitter kind of arguing a little bit with me, but I saw an article that was written by I think it's Wish TV Investigate 8. I think that's Wish TV, and they did an article about death penalty cases regarding Delphi, and if this case becomes a death penalty case, that there is an issue in the state of Indiana where they have less than 20 public defenders who are qualified as attorneys that could actually handle a death penalty case. Death penalty cases are extremely difficult. There is a lot that goes into them, not only as the prosecution, but as the defense as well. There's so much that they have to do, so many things. They're completely different than a regular case. And they're held to a higher standard because of the possibility of the person actually being put to death. So it's really important. But I had people arguing with me that there were more attorneys in Indiana that could do this. What I was talking about was public defenders. These two attorneys that were appointed are not part of the public defenders pool. These two attorneys are contracted public defenders. In other words, the county pays them. They're private attorneys, and they pay them to come in and work as public defenders. And there are some attorneys that are actually, that's all they do, is they are public defenders and they work for the county. So Little Daisies, that will not happen. That is not going to happen probably until January, when they'll talk about venue. I don't even look for that to be discussed until the preliminary hearing. I believe that the defense, if anybody is going to ask for a change of venue, it will be the defense, and the defense will move it, or will ask for the case to be moved out of Carroll County. So I don't know that. I know a lot of people think that because of where the current judge is located, that is where the case would be heard, but I'm not convinced of that. So hold on one second here. But yeah, that was the only thing that really struck me that happened. It looks like the council has made their appearance on his behalf. So those things that needed to happen have happened. So now we wait until next week, when on Tuesday, when we have the hearing on whether or not the probable cause document should be unsealed. So it'll be really, like I said, it's going to be really interesting to see. I look for it to be unsealed. I will be really surprised if they keep it sealed. And that's just my opinion. After speaking with my judge friend, and they're not going to leave it sealed indefinitely. They realize the longer they leave this information sealed, the more it can be fought on appeal. So they're going to be very careful in how they handle that. So I do look for it to be unsealed next Tuesday. So that's the stuff that happened court-wise with him. Now, I wanted to talk about what came out on Wish TV this week. Wish TV did an article yesterday. It was posted and it was updated today around 4 o'clock. And basically what they said was that Richard Allen, the man that was arrested in the 2017 let's see. The man was arrested in the man arrested in the 2017 double murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German told a state conservation officer he was in the area on the day of the killings, but his report may have been considered unfounded. A police source tells I-Team 8. Allen, a 50-year-old resident of Delphi, went to the conservation officer right after the teens' murders on February 13th, 2017, and said he was on the Monon High Bridge that afternoon, but didn't see the two girls, the source says. Williams and German were dropped off near the bridge on the day of the murders, and their bodies were found the next day. Allen's statement was forgotten until recently, when Indiana State Police became frustrated with the status of the Delphi investigation and asked a group of investigators to look over files related to the case. Investigators believe Allen is the man on the bridge in the cell phone video and in both sketches released by police, the source tells I-Team 8. Police arrested Allen on October 28th for the deaths of Williams and German and announced his arrest October 31st. He faces 2 counts of murder in the case. Allen was recently moved from the White County Jail to a state-run facility for his own safety. Last week, Allen submitted a handwritten letter asking a Carroll County judge for a public defender. On Monday, court records say that Andrew Joseph Baldwin from Franklin, Indiana law firm and Bradley Anthony Rossi of Logansport was added as public defenders for Allen. Rossi will be the lead attorney and Baldwin will be co-counsel. Although Allen was arrested, the probable cause affidavit is sealed. A hearing set for November 22nd will determine if the document will be made public. I'm just going to go ahead and read the rest of this article because we're going to get into it afterwards. So the search of the Wabash River is linked to the Delphi investigation, the source says. The police source also confirmed to ITV8 that the recent 5-week state police search of the Wabash River in Peru was connected to the Delphi investigation. It was initiated after Kagan Klein told police they would find a cell phone and a weapon in the river, the source tells I-Team 8. Klein, 28, a figure linked to the Delphi murders, who has not been charged in the case, revealed that information while being questioned about the deaths of Libby and Abby. That evidence was never found, and Klein is known for lying to investigators. Klein faces 25 child porn-related charges in a very separate case tied to the use of a social media profile called Anthony Shots. Investigators believe Klein used the Anthony_Shots social media profile to solicit at least 100 sexually explicit photos and videos from at least 15 underage girls. Police say Liberty German was one of the girls that Klein communicated with while using the fake identity, and his trial is set to begin in May of 2023. So let's get into it. Let me put this up first. Hold on a sec, because I think that's important. I do not believe anymore in my heart of hearts that the Kleins have anything to do with this case. I just don't. I just can't. I can't see it, guys. Does not mean that they may not be. I'm just saying, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing, I just don't believe they are. I believe that this is a lone wolf. I think we're going to find that out. But I also think that it's possible, it's very possible that there was some sort of a connection, but that Kagan wasn't aware of it. And what I mean by that is it's very possible, if this guy is a pedophile type person who preys on young victims, and he's messed up in looking at CSAM or whatever, he could be part of that was very disturbing, you guys. I mean, who trolls as a dead girl? Who comes in here and trolls as a dead girl? Really? How sickening. I do believe that the Kleins are bad people. I would not be surprised if they haven't done some bad things. But I just feel at this point in time, if they had any evidence at all that would, I kicked them, Melissa. I kicked them out. If they had any evidence against the Kleins, the guys would be in jail. It's just that simple. It's just sad to me that people, I mean, here we go. You know, Ron Logan, really? Can my moderators wake up, you guys? Because we're going to be trolled, it looks like. Thank you, Never Silent. I appreciate you. I don't understand how trolls think it's funny to do crap like this. We're talking about 2 dead children, and this is what they think is okay to do. It doesn't make any sense. Thanks, Maria. Love you. Thank you so much. I know they're always awake. I'm just letting them know. Yeah, Grizz, I wonder who that is. Who do you think that is that's creating those channels like that, though? You know, we just have to be diligent and not letting this happen, and let these people get their foot in, because it is just really sick. So sick. But yeah, getting back to what we were talking about with the Kleins and my thoughts, I could be completely wrong here. But I just am not feeling, I'm just not feeling it. I believe that they've had plenty of time. They've got plenty of information that they should be able to put them, or at least put Kagan somewhere if he was a part of this. Yes, I am still concerned about what was looked at in Vegas. I'm still concerned about all of that. But it may turn out to be just people who were interested in what was happening back home. I do know that we don't know that she spoke to, or we don't know for positive, absolutely 100%, that Marathon gas station was searched. That will all come out in his trial. We don't know any of that yet. That stuff has all been hearsay, and we just don't know. We do know that Keegan talked a good game. Kagan was talking a lot to law enforcement. He's told them that there was a murder weapon, or there was a weapon in the Wabash, and they were going to find this stuff. They didn't find anything. We know Kagan lies. My question is why would Kagan lie? Why would Kagan lie? And why would Kagan try to insert himself or put himself in the middle of the Delphi case? When you go back and look at the interrogation, or the interview with Barbara McDonald of Kagan, he absolutely denied that he had anything to do with this. Denied it. He said he gave them DNA, he gave them hair samples, he did everything they asked of him, and that he was cooperating with them. And you cannot forget that. You go back and you look at the veto document, where that was from 2 years ago, you guys. 2 years ago. And when you stop and think about that, that's one of the things that got me when all this stuff started to come out, and we found out there was an arrest, and I started using my brain a little bit more. And I went back and I started looking through my notebooks. I started looking back at the documents. And what was released to us in February by the murder sheet was a interrogation that happened 2 years ago. It didn't happen in December of last year. It happened 2 years ago. They knew about Kagan Klein and Anthony Schatz for 2 years. 2 years. And I think they were okay with us and social media all running around with all of these huge theories and all of this stuff, because it was keeping us off of the trail and the track of what they were truly trying to do. And I think that it's quite possible that there is some weird, crazy connection. I'm just giving you how I feel. You guys are more than welcome to speak about, you can ask questions. You guys know that I'll answer the questions at the end. I always do. So I always star them, and I will go back and answer any questions. Hold on one second. I'm just looking at something. Digital, I saw your question and I'm gonna go ahead and answer it right now. I think that I think their promise was that they would continue to put out the information for law enforcement that was not the right information. And they may very well have known other things that they didn't want released, and they chose not, and they did not release them. I don't know. I don't know what their promise was, but Murder Sheet has come out and said that Richard Allen was not on their radar anywhere. They had no idea about him. And quite frankly, if you watch the interview, the most recent interview done with Doug Carter, he also says in that interview that I'm going to go try and find it here in just a second on my channel, but he talks about how, because she asked him specific questions like, were you surprised when you found out that there was an arrest made? Yes, he was. They did not have him on their radar, you guys. He never was on their radar. He was in the early days of the investigation because he did put himself there. And they missed it. Again, I'm telling you, we talked about this. One of the things that how am I trying to explain this? Yeah, basically, he was Rockaways. He was in the filing cabinet of the police station basically from day one. Within a very short amount of time after the murders, he placed himself on that bridge, not just on the trails, you guys. He placed himself on that bridge. That's huge. Was he toying with them then? Or did he realize that they had her cell phone and that she had videotaped him and he didn't know it? And so now he's worried. They've got a picture of him. So now I got to come forward and explain maybe why I'm there. And for whatever reason, just like the source says, law enforcement either didn't believe him or they just figured that he was a concerned witness who came forth, who was out on the trails that day and didn't see anything. Didn't see the girls, didn't see anything, because that's what he said. He didn't see anything. And I'm sure there were other people that were on the trails that didn't see anything, because nobody talks about seeing the girls, right? Unless they've got people who did. We don't know that yet, because we don't know who law enforcement has as witnesses. Yes, it is confirmed that he did. Through this source, this police source, that's what he told this conservation officer. And it doesn't really matter one way or another. It's like, and you can't be that critical of law enforcement, you guys. You have to stop and think of what's going on in this investigation. How fast things are progressing, how quickly things are happening here. And you've got all these people coming forward. They're doing all of these interviews. They're canvassing. They're doing everything that they can possibly do in the very beginning. And they're going to have a lot of people. It's not uncommon to have spoke to the killer early on in an investigation. Not uncommon at all. Look at the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway. Go back and look at that case, you guys. They had him in and they questioned the heck out of him and let him go. And the whole time it was him. He went on for years killing after that. Law enforcement are human. They are not infallible. And just because they miss something does not make them inept. It doesn't make them the Keystone Cops. It doesn't make them these horrible people that I keep seeing people try to portray them as. I'm going back to these guys took this home with them every single day for 5.5 years. Those investigators lived this case. They saw the horrific photographs, the pictures, the autopsy. They saw everything that this person, I even hate calling him a person. And monster to me doesn't do it justice because he's not a monster. He lives amongst us. He looks like your normal guy. But they saw what he robbed not only the families and Libby and Abby of their lives, but the world on what these girls were going to do and accomplish in their lives. And I told you guys when I showed you the Instagram post from Paul Holes that he made on October the 8th. I showed you guys the other night. And he said, someone is going to be in this cage. He was trying to let people know, and I guarantee you Paul Holes was part of the investigators that looked over this case because he was in Delphi back in June. He was at CrimeCon talking about the case, talking about the DNA, talking about all of that in May at CrimeCon. And then in June, he's in Delphi. And I think he came there to go over the case, which makes me happy that they had other investigators looking back at what had already been done. And if you remember right, in one of Doug Carter's interviews, he said, we're going to go through every single tip until we get to the end. And if we still don't have what we need, then we're going to go back to the beginning and start over. And we're going to go back and relook at everything. And this is exactly what happened. Somebody took or found this guy, Richard Allen's statement or whatever that he made to law enforcement about being on that bridge that day, probably at that time or close to it. And they're like, whoa, where are we with this guy? What did we find out about this guy? And is there, but you know, once you go and you look at it, you're like, dang, they just moved on. And he was left in a pile of 50,000 tips, you guys. I keep talking to you guys about that because if you remember, we've been talking about a lot of different cases, right? I haven't found a case yet that's got 50,000 tips. I mean, we've got cases that are years and years old and only have 10,000. John Bonet's one of them. I mean, you know, we got 50,000 tips in Delphi. It's absolutely incredible to me. And so that is a lot of stuff to go through and to look at and to vet and to make sure that you're getting everything and touching on everything. So kudos to the fact that they brought in these investigators whenever it was that they did, that put them onto him. And, you know, it didn't take long, did it? They interviewed him on Wednesday. They brought him in for questioning on Wednesday, the 26th of October. Now, we don't know if they kept him I'm assuming they did. I don't think they let him go home. I think they had him the 26th. They brought him in. They held him because they can hold him for up to 72 hours without charging him. And I think they held him. They kept talking to him. And finally, on Friday, the 28th, is when they charged him. So, you know, there's been a lot of questions. I've had so much email the last 2 weeks to get through. And I apologize to you guys if I've not been able to get back to any of you that have sent me emails. I have so much, not only from my Reddit sub, but also from here. And I'm doing the best I can. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I try to put some sort of a response on everything, all of my comments on my videos, you know, on my community posts. When you guys speak or ask questions, I try to respond. And it is a lot, but I do it on purpose because I want you guys to know how important you are to me, and your opinions matter. And your thought processes matter. And maybe we do true crime time. Maybe that's true, but now's not the time. We need to be critical of law enforcement at the end of this case after everything is revealed. And we know everything. Now is not the time to be critical of them, in my opinion. I think we have to wait to do that. After the case is completely over, everything's done, and all of the evidence has been revealed. And then at that point in time, we can look at it. I don't know in this case if we'll ever know all of the evidence. I hope so. I'm just worried. There's a part of me that is still worried that we may not hear everything. And I think that there's a lot to go over in this case, but I think what we're going to find out is Occam's razor is going to be much more relevant in this case than ever before. And I think it was staring them right in the face. Now, why did he do it? We don't know. I mean, I don't know that we'll ever know. It depends if he decides to talk and cooperate with law enforcement or not. But a lot of times they don't get the why. So I don't know. I just, like I said, I just think that when news stations, especially, put out information, they have a team of lawyers that go through what they are putting out as fact. And they're not going to run with a story that in a high profile case like this, if they do not know that their source is credible. So I'm just going to put that out there. I believe this source. I also believe Wish TV. I've been following them for the entire time that I've been following this case, which is day one. All of the Indiana news stations, Fox 59, Wish TV, WTHR, they've all done exceptional coverage on the Abby and Libby case. Just absolutely. And but let's see. I think, John, I agree with you. I think it's going to be really interesting to see if this case ever actually goes to trial, because at this point in time, it's just a continue holdout by Kagan. And for whatever reason, Sinkovic seems to be happy with that because he's letting it go. And that's the state. That's the prosecutor over Kagan's case. And he is, you know, when you have the state allowing and not putting in, you know, not going before the judge and saying, look, they've had 2 years to get their discovery going. They've had this, and they keep using this, that we're in negotiations. We're in negotiations. And I don't know. I think it's, I just think it's weird what's happening with the Kagan Klein case. Really, really weird. But the longer he can sit in a county jail versus going to a state prison on CSAM charges, the better for Kagan. I can tell you that right now. When people say, well, why would Kagan lie, or why would Kagan do this? Kagan's going to do anything he can to keep him out of the big house for as long as he can. Michelle, just go ahead. I'll try to watch. I don't know where everyone is, but I will try to watch, okay? I'll help John as much as I can. So go ahead and take your shower, my dear. Lisa, I am so glad that you said this and I didn't have to. I am so sick and tired of looking at Murder Sheet everywhere I go. Every time I pull up a video to watch an interview with someone, or a news article, or a live news broadcast, there they are. And I'm just like, these people aren't experts on anything when it comes to Delphi, in my opinion. They're not. She is not a crime expert. She's not an expert. She reports on business. She is into true crime, the true crime genre, the same reason that all of us are. The only thing that's different now is that I believe they're both doing it full time. I could be wrong. But I don't think Kevin's practicing. And that's just my opinion. I don't know that anybody's ever asked. But, why not? Right? I mean, they've blown up, and so they can live off of what they're making now, because God knows everybody's turning to look for them for the facts in this case, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Thank you, Never Silent. I so appreciate you. No problem at all. No problem at all. Yeah, I hadn't heard that, Digital, but that's what I thought. Yeah, they're doing the podcast now full time. That was their intent all along, in my opinion, and they used Delphi as a springboard, because they had been covering the Burger Chef murders, but it wasn't. They did not have a huge following at all, and they jumped in to Delphi with both feet in January and February is when, February, actually, I started my YouTube channel, and in March is when I had them on my channel. March is when I had them as a guest. They were my first guests that I had on my channel. And I made up my mind after I had them the first time, I wasn't having them again, because after I saw what was coming out and how they were just throwing stuff out there, but they were acting as if they knew everything to be fact, bothered me a lot. And then when I realized this summer that there was a source that went to them that asked not to be revealed and to not share what they told the murder sheet, and the murder sheet went ahead and shared it, that's called burning a source. And once I knew they had done that, I lost all respect for them. No credibility at all. And then they came out and did their whole thing about their integrity. And I was just like, what a joke. So anyway. So that's that. Now, I think that there are so many different avenues that you can go with what may or may not have happened that day, and who or who wasn't involved in this. I do lean more towards this being a lone wolf and that Richard Allen acted alone. However, I am not against, obviously, if it turns out that that's not the case, then that's fine. We want everyone who's responsible for Abby and Libby's death to be caught and prosecuted. I don't have to be right. I've never had to be right. And that is why I most often don't give my opinion deeply on anything around this case, because everybody takes it to heart. And it's just like, I'm not one of those people that is going to climb the hill and die on it with my theory or my opinion. Hey, Kimberly Wilson, how are you? It's so good to see you. So, it's like people ask, well, what, I laugh about that, Nomad, because yeah, there's a lot of them, I'm afraid, out there, unless they figure out something else to do with their channels. But I started with Delphi for so many reasons, and I've explained them all to you guys before. I'm going to venture into other cases. I do feel that I need to. After living on Twitter for so long and Reddit, and realizing how many missing people and unsolved murders of children are out there, the children cases pull to me because of my own loss of child. Losing my 4-year-old son left a scar, many scars, but a big one. And I feel that he has led me here to help others try to navigate through this minefield of, I don't even know how to describe it. The more and more I look into the missing, and the more and more of the uncovered cases, I see such an imbalance on what cases get covered and what cases don't. And it's bothersome to me. Oh, your mom, I'm so sorry. I wish I could hug you. I wish I could hug you. It is the hardest thing ever. He was my only son. He was 4. I lost my son to cancer. He was a completely healthy baby, completely healthy child until he wasn't. And it happened basically overnight. And he fought it for 10 long months. But I am so sorry. It is, it's really tough. Your mom, hang in there. I'm here if you ever need to talk. Just email me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. Little Daisies, thank you so much. That means so much to me. That means so very much to me. There's not a day goes by that he's not on my mind. He's on my mind multiple times a day. And like I said, I think it's why these cases hit me so very, very hard, is because of my own loss and the pain that I've gone through. And Tom, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And hi down there in Australia. What a beautiful country you have. So yeah, you know, it's, I'm going to continue to help and cover the cases of the children and be a voice for the voiceless. It's just shattering how many. It's just like Grismatically was saying earlier. It's just too hard. There's so many of them, and you wonder how many more, you know. But I don't see it ever changing. I don't really see it ending. And I know that these cases need coverage. I'm going to start covering some Indigenous women cases. I'm really having a pull to that. I really feel that's something that I want to cover because they're not talked about. Oh, Sierra, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here with us as a door. It makes me so happy. It's okay, your mom. You're not there yet. You are not there yet. You will get to that place. I promise you it will happen. It's not an easy road by any sense of the word. If you are not aware of the Compassionate Friends, I would like to put you in contact with them. Just give me a minute. I'm going to pull up their URL for you. The Compassionate Friends is a worldwide organization for parents who have lost children. I started my local chapter here. We didn't have a chapter, and I started it. I went to my first meeting, and it was amazing. I went to training on how to be an organizer, and it took a long time. I want to say 10 years out before I was able to do that. But anyway, there you go. I just dropped the the link for them. Please check on that. They have a lot of online things now, and see if they have a local chapter near you. It would be so helpful for you. And the nice thing about the Compassionate Friends, this support group is only for parents who have lost their children. So you do not have to go and listen to people who've lost spouses or brothers and sisters or uncles and aunts or grandparents, whatever. You're only there with people who know the pain that you're experiencing. So it's very, very helpful. And when I started my local, I don't deal with it anymore. I passed it off a long time ago, but it was something that I really, really felt that I needed to help, because it's not easy to get through, you guys. The loss of a child will break you. It will absolutely tear you apart. And I can't even imagine, and I've heard this from so many people over the years, because in my support group, I had many people. We had illnesses, we had lost to accidents, we had lost to murder. There was just all kinds of things. And everybody's journey is different, but the loss is the loss. The loss is the same as far as the loss itself. Paris, you are so welcome. I can tell you that it is heartbreaking. The Highway of Tears is something that I'm going to be covering up there in Canada. I have been reading a lot about it. I've watched a few documentaries on it. It is a huge problem, and nobody's talking about them. And I just, there's so many Indigenous women and girls who are going missing on the reservations, and it's just like nobody's talking about it. Louisa, that's terrible. That is terrible. Oh, my heart just goes out to you. Oh, that's just awful. No, it doesn't matter. That's the other thing, True Crime Housewife. It doesn't matter. I had a lady come to a support group for me one night, and she sat there for almost half of the evening and never said a word. And I finally spoke to her and tried to get her to talk. And I wanted her to kind of share her story. And she looked at me and she says, I really don't know if I belong here after listening to everything. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, well, she goes, I'm 72 years old and I lost my son who was 41, and he was killed in the line of duty. He was a police officer. And it's like I told her, I said, it doesn't matter. You're still his mom. And that's not the way things are supposed to work. We're not supposed to outlive our children. And it's just not the way it's supposed to work. So yeah, it doesn't matter. I think that's why I felt such enormous grief on 9/11, because all I could think about was all the mothers and fathers and all the pain that the mothers and fathers were going through with the loss of all of that life. I've been watching that, Lisa. That's a pretty good show, actually. I've been watching it. Yeah, I have been watching that. Oh, Lewis, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you here along with everyone else. You guys are wonderful. And like I said, I wouldn't be here just talking to myself. I don't think, if I didn't have people listening and watching, why do it? But I feel that we've built a really nice community here. I'm thankful for all of you guys. You always make me feel like information that I bring to you is helpful. And that's the most important thing. Louisa, I hope that someday you will absolutely find him or get help in finding him. I mean, that is just the most, I'm just so sorry. I know that that's not enough. I wish there was more I could say. I'm going to look at the questions that I starred you guys. Let's look at these. How did Richard Allen know that the girls would be on the bridge that day and know to be armed and prepared? Did Richard Allen stalk the bridge regularly? Well, all I can say is this. It was a snow day that was built into the calendar for the schools that's posted on the school's website. It's talked about on the local news. If he's working in a pharmacy, he's going to hear parents talking about the kids not being in school on Monday. So he's going to know about the fact that there was no school that day. If he actually targeted Abby or Libby, my thinking is that he may very well, I don't think he stalked the bridge, but I think he walked it. I think he walked the trails and walked the bridge on a regular basis. I think he knew that area like the back of his hand. And in my opinion, that's one of the things we're going to find out, that was a regular place for him to go, maybe to decompress or, whatever. And we're going to have to wait to try to find out what may or may not have been the motive behind this crime and whether or not he's committed other crimes. And was this, because they're saying that the crime scene was staged and the crime scene was made to look like something that it wasn't. So was it not sexually motivated? Was it something else, but it was made to look like a sexually motivated crime? We're going to have to wait to see what is going on here with this guy and why, the profilers and the forensic psychologists, because I'm sure they're going to have him examined. And whether or not he, like I said, whether or not he talks, you guys got to remember, Ted Bundy didn't. Ted Bundy did not talk until the very end. After he had been on death row all that time, and it was coming up for him to be executed, and he wanted to see if he could get more time and save his life. So he started talking and giving up murders and giving up information. So will Richard Allen talk? Let's hope so that we can learn why this had to happen and why it happened that day at that time to Abby and Libby. Why did Carter thank the murder sheet? I already answered that one. If not connected, then two different perverted predators talking to a child at the same time and one killing them. Well, all I can say is we don't know that Richard Allen was talking to anyone. He may have seen Abby and Libby at McDonald's. Kelsey worked at Dairy Queen right across from CVS. I'm sure the girls went to Dairy Queen often. He could have been out on a smoke break. He's a smoker. They said that he would stand outside the CVS and take smoke breaks. He could have seen them anywhere. It's a really small town, you guys. Everybody sees everything because it's so small. And he's living in plain sight. Maybe when Kelsey and Libby were geocaching at the trails, maybe he was out there. Maybe he saw them. We just don't know yet. Maybe walking past Abby's house every day as he was headed to the bridge. We don't know how he was connected or got connected to these girls. And we don't know that he was necessarily talking to them. And if you remember when when Kagan was talking about his conversations with Libby annoyed him, he said. And he really wasn't interested in really talking to her. Now, was that true? He lies a lot. So at this point, I really just don't know what to think about all that. And we're just going to have to wait and see how much of that information in that interrogation was true. Were they just telling him things to scare him, to see if they could get him to talk? We just don't know. I think Kagan searched for Marathon Gas on February 13th because that was the rally point to meet Richard Allen and then head to the bridge. Very well could be. I'm not going to say that it couldn't be, but I just am not feeling it. To be a lone wolf Richard Allen would have to stalk the bridge while armed and prepared until he had opportunity. Did he get lucky the very first time? When I'm saying lone wolf, I'm talking he was the only person involved in this crime. I do not believe that he would necessarily have been stalking the bridge out there that day, hunting for somebody to kill. It's very possible that he could be. He could very easily have had a psychotic kind of a break and went out there and decided to kill someone. We just don't, like I said, we just don't know. He could be a sexual predator, and he's done this before and has never been caught. This may not be his first time. This may very well not be his first time. Remember, there is a girl who was murdered very close to where he was in 2006 before he left Peru, Indiana to move to Delphi. And Jordan Sofer's case is unsolved. And we talked about her the other night. So don't forget about Jordan. We just don't know where this guy's been and what he's been doing. But law enforcement's checking that all out. Guaranteed he is being looked at from the time he was born until now. They're going back and looking at his 50 years history to see what they can get from it. And I'm sure that they are going to be interrogating all of his family, whatever friends they can get, and all of that. Is it simply coincidental that Richard Allen murdered Libby and Abby and that Kagan Klein was catfishing Libby at the same time? It could very well be, Olivia. I know that that seems astronomically not the case to some people, and I know that a lot of people have trouble with that, but I think it could very well be possible. We don't know who all Libby was talking to or interacting with on these apps that she was using. So it is very possible that she ran into more than one predator while doing so. That's the sad thing about these social media apps that our young children and our young teens and teenagers are utilizing today, is that there's predators out there everywhere, and they are looking for them like crazy. Yes, and I answered that question as well. So let's see. Your mom, thank you so much for your super sticker. How kind of you. I appreciate that so much. And I really feel like I said, if you ever need to just email me, we can talk. I would be more than happy to talk with you. So just putting that out there. Deb, if you go into Discord, she's got in the mod tab on my private Discord, I think you can find all of the prompts. Jennifer was so good about putting those in there for me and keeping them up to date. And you guys who keep PayPaling me, I so appreciate your support. Thank you so much. When you guys send PayPals, YouTube doesn't take 30% of what you give me. So the PayPals are nice because not that I don't like YouTube. I just think that they take a lot of the donation money. So, oh, Deb, I thought I did. Hold on a second and let me put the invite in there. Hold on. Um, oh. Okay. I'm trying to find your last email from me, Deb. I'm having trouble. Can you send me an email? I'll send it right over to you. Because I'm not seeing it in there anywhere. Sorry. Stop my screen. So anybody who is a member of my channel, a paying member of my channel, you get an invite to my personal private Discord as well as my private Facebook group. And every once in a while, I will post those in the community tab on the channel so that you guys see them. They only last for 7 days. And so I do that as well. Let's see. Jennifer's looking for some new cars. Why did he know he was in big trouble? Because he knew what he was doing with all the CSAM. That's why he knew. He knew he was in big trouble. And he knew they had him. Let's see. Digital, the main reason, I think it's just, I don't really have an actual main reason. I'm just not feeling it with, there she goes. Got it, thanks. All right. Oops. Hang on, Deb. I just sent it to you, my dear. So you should have it. No, Digital, what I was saying is I don't really have a main reason. I just don't feel it with the Kleins anymore. The more and more this drags out with them, my feeling is they would have arrested them. At this point in time, I just don't feel that they have anything to do with this Delphi case at all. I just don't. I could be absolutely wrong, you guys, and that'll be fine with me if I am. But it's just how I'm feeling. And everybody's entitled to their own thoughts and stuff. But I don't know. Oh, tattooed girl, thank you so much. You are so kind. Heather, that's fine, my dear. Like I said, I could be absolutely wrong. And if I am, I hope they find enough to be able to get him, because the CSAM's not enough in my opinion. If he was a person who participated in any way in the murders of Abby and Libby, he needs to face the same Piper that the person who committed the murders did. So, And yeah, that's just how I feel. Great, Deb. Thank you. I'm so glad you got it. And it's really frustrating because we don't have all the facts. We don't even have close to all the facts in this case. And I think that once we do, a lot of things will seem a lot clearer and our discussions will be less vague and more spot on to what's really going on around the case. But, it's going to be a long time, you guys. I just want you guys to know that the case is probably not going to happen in 2023. I don't look for this case to go to trial before 2024, if it even goes to trial then. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. There are so many things. There's so many possibilities of what could be going on here. I just, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting, you guys. I really, really do. But thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I do have something that I wanted to share with you. Hold on a minute. I want to find it real quick. Because it's pretty interesting. So there's another case before I go that I just want to touch on with you. And I thought that this was a good way to end the show tonight. But it is a case that happened in a Midwestern town. And it happened in 1960. A year before I was born. So the case is Nancy Eagleson. I don't know if you guys have heard of her or not, but like many girls her age, she was 14 years old and she longed to grow up a little bit faster than her parents might have wanted. She had just bought her first pair of high heels and was elated to be wearing them on November 13th, 1960. That night, Nancy and her 5-year-old sister Cheryl were walking home. Suddenly, a man driving a dark colored car began trailing the girls. 500 feet from their home, the ominous driver pulled over next to them and snatched Nancy after beating Cheryl to the ground. A few hours later, Nancy's murdered body was found by 2 men raccoon hunting. Even though it has been more than 60 years, Nancy's case is heating up. Her remains were just exhumed, and the coroner discovered a never-before-seen bullet and fibers that were sent out for testing. Now advocates are celebrating this shot at justice. So I wanted to share this because talking about Nancy and her case is how, hold on a second, is how we get her case, or we get people, to pay attention. But we're talking 1960, you guys. 1960. And there is the, I just posted in the chat the timeline. It happened in rural Ohio in 1960, and her 5-year-old sister was the only witness to this 60-year-old cold case. She attended church, she had a meal with her family, and then she and her 5-year-old sister, Cheryl, went out to the movie theater a few blocks away. Nancy and Cheryl had just left a double feature and decided to get sodas from a local restaurant before they started their walk back home. And it was 7 p.m. and starting to get dark when they began to walk home. At some point, the girls noticed a car was following them. And it eventually stopped, and the driver inquired about directions. He stopped and grabbed Nancy, forcing her into the car on a well-lit street in full view of 7 homes. Cheryl ran screaming to the safety of a neighbor's house, only to see the car drive away with Nancy in the back seat. A frantic search for Nancy ended when not more than 6 hours later, raccoon hunters found her body in a clearing about 100 feet from the road. An extensive search of every local vehicle that matched Cheryl's description was undertaken, as well as multiple interviews with community members. Cheryl was even put under hypnosis in hopes that she could recall details from the kidnapping. Her case remains unsolved. And as I told you, they just got new evidence that they have sent off for testing that they did not know about. So let's hope for that case. So you guys, next week is Thanksgiving. I will not be live on Thursday. Not even sure I'm going to be live the following Saturday, but I am going to be live next Tuesday. I plan on going live during the day on Tuesday after the hearing, the probable cause hearing. I will also go live that night. So I will be live twice on Tuesday. Probably not as long like I was on the day of the when they had the press conference on my birthday, but I will definitely want to keep up to date. But I just wanted guys to give you a heads up for that. I will probably be downloading a couple of videos while I'm not on live. But Thanksgiving is coming. The holidays are huge for me and my family. Excuse me. So I will be spending a lot of time with them over Christmas and over Thanksgiving and New Year's. And I hope everyone else has a great rest of your couple days till we see each other on Thursday. I will be back here on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for everyone. Happy birthday, Jennifer. If I don't see you on Saturday, but happy birthday. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being with you guys Thursday night and Saturday of this week. So I just can't believe how fast everything has happened. You know, I've still got tons. I haven't started. I mean, I've started. I think I've got 3 or 4 gifts, but I still have lots of Christmas shopping to do and just a lot of stuff. But yeah, the holidays are rapidly coming. And I had my 5-year-old grandson with me today. He was home from school with a cold, not feeling well. And so he spent the day with me, curled up on the couch, and he kept telling me how excited he was for Christmas Town. He can't wait for Christmas Town to come. So it's crazy how fast this year's gone. Anyway, you guys, have a good one. I'm going to leave you all with our wonderful Tech Death, and you can listen to his music. And I will see you all on Thursday. Thank you, everyone. Good night.